I think this is as good as the lighting is going to get in this room. For my setup, we're good. Cool. Making commentary videos on the internet has transformed me into someone I didn't know I could be. Also, this is my son. He is unnamed, little Junimo baby. What I mean by having been transformed into someone I didn't know I could be is that I spend so much time on the internet now in places I didn't know existed. Like deep diving into commentary channels with people that I have nothing in common with. Deep diving into Christian fundamentalist channels, hardcore vegan nationalist channels, places where I just didn't think people were around to make content for. But if you can think of something on the internet, it's probably already been done. I follow exactly 0 subreddits, and most of the time that I'm on Reddit, I'm not even signed into an account. But what happens when I get on Reddit and fall into one of these rabbit holes that I just know nothing about? I find r/Fundie snark uncensored, and on there, I find a comment that goes, Trainer Joe just spouts incredibly harmful information. I haven't looked at how big his platform is, but he definitely loves a good shaming and brainwashing. ETA, did they Photoshop him in Buddhist monks' clothing? Are they calling Buddhism a cult? Anything outside of white fundamentalist American Christianity is a cult, obviously. And what they're talking about is a channel by the name of Trainer Joe's. Kind of like Trader Joe's, except you're the trader here. Get it? Like Traitor, not trader, like stock market. I don't know anything about trading stocks. That's a lie. I played so much Animal Crossing. I made like 40 million bells on the Animal Crossing stock market. Anyway, the video that they're talking about is this very top one here. Weight loss cult leader, where Trainer Joe's face is obviously being photoshopped onto a Buddhist monk. And you could take that for what it is. I don't think I have to go into like a deep dive of, is this weird, for you to be like, yeah, kind of weird. But if I'm going to be very honest with myself and with the audience, I don't know anything about Trainer Joe. In fact, I didn't even click on this video because I care about what they're talking about. I clicked on this video because it's very rare for me to get to see these people outside of the context of their relationships. And what that means is, normally when you see people like Paul is sitting down next to his wife going, here's why I'm the leader. Here's why she's submissive. Here's why, because of our religion, she submits to me, and that's how it should be. Everything he does, from pickleball being adopted from his wife and pretty much just stolen from her, to the values that he just walks around with, they don't exist if he doesn't have someone to back him up. It doesn't work for him to go, wives should submit to their husbands, if his wife isn't immediately behind him nodding her head. And so I want to take a time out of that and look at just 2 men in this space and talk about something that hopefully has nothing to do with the women around them. And we're going to leave that there. We're going to drop a very quick reminder. I'm not the audience for any of this. I don't want religious advice. I don't want nutritional advice from these people. I don't want to... most of you don't know me. I did wrestle for 8 years of my life. I was in incredible shape until I was about 23. And now this is just my sitting weight. I think what we are going to get out of a video like this is we're going to get a look at to what these people are like in their privacy. Because I'm never going to be in a room with a fundamentalist Christian and a fundamentalist Christian trainer talking about things that just have nothing to do with me. I'm never going to be in that room. So it's nice to get to see what they're like. Granted, there's a camera and they know what not to say, but it's nice to see what they're like in this more natural, hopefully natural conversation. One final announcement before we get into this video, and I've said this multiple times this week, so I'm so sorry. We are baking a cake on my girlfriend's stream later on today. That'll be at 5 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 Eastern, and I'll throw Mountain in there. 4 p.m. Mountain, just so that I don't leave anyone out in the United States. If you're outside of the US, I don't know time zones like that. Sorry. I'm unfortunately American. Someone in the comments did mention that it's their birthday, and it's kind of like we're baking them a cake, so happy birthday. Not going to name you in case you don't want to be named, but happy birthday. You guys know about this a lot better than I do. Do you guys think Paul at all talks about Morgan when like she's not around in any other sense, and like, oh, she does this for me, or she's like very supportive? Like, is there a conversation for Paul to have about Morgan that is not also about him? It's a hard thing to do sometimes, and I do it a lot where I talk about how like, oh, like Lee's really nice, Lee's really sweet, I love her a lot. There's a lot of like me in there. I could drop a lecture on who that woman is outside of me. So I don't know if they're the same. I don't know if he really only cares about how she is around and to him, and their kids, if he cares about their kids. This is my stepson. Every day I walk in here and I go, "You're not my real son." That's a joke. Stop. All right. If you have stepchildren or you're a stepchild, I'm sure they're just your children to you. They should be anyway.
Trainer Joe, some think that you are a, how do I say it? Cult leader of a weight loss cult leader. Leader of a weight loss cult.
What is that? It's not, I'm not doing devil horns.
Not the time or place.
I'm not doing that.
But
that took 20 seconds. It took 20 seconds for Trainer Joe to go and immediately go, wait, I'm not doing devil horns. And Paul just be like, "Oh, wrong time and place. We're godly people here. We eat godly foods and don't do devil horns. The devil said, have some ice cream." And Jesus said, "What's ice cream?" Dude, if the devil's telling you to have ice cream, have ice cream. Okay? If the devil comes up to you and goes, "Mint chocolate chip, pretty good," he's probably just having a conversation. Like, yeah, you're right. The worst person you know has some good points. Whether that's Paul, the devil, Lin-Manuel Miranda, or Mayor Lewis from Stardew.
In reality, some see you as that. Yes. And I want to talk about it. I want to get to the bottom of this.
Weight loss cult leader. At least I'm the leader.
Oh, you're definitely the leader.
Be the leader.
You're definitely
just one of the followers.
Very small point. It's weird for him to be like, at least I'm a leader, not a follower. Like, in order to be a leader, you need to have followers. So do you think your followers are weird? I guess is what that's getting at.
No, one lady, she said, whenever, because we do videos twice a week, live videos, and this lady said, "I was getting ready to go in and watch your video," and my husband said, "Oh, you're getting ready to go join your cult?"
Should we be concerned about this?
Should we be concerned about it? It is interesting. And I obviously think about these things. I try to prepare my mind for what we're going to be talking about. And I was thinking, why is that? Is it all bad? Is it good? And I thought about churches, because you think cult, you think of religion and some people following blindly, right? To some degree.
Wow, that literally made me think of when you're talking to your group. And you pretty much say, "I need you to follow me blindly for 21 days. This is getting too real.
I need you to follow me blindly and ask no questions for 21 days.
This is getting kind of real."
And then so that it leads into a new life of doing so. No.
Consider that if enough people are calling you when you're following a cult, and then you joke about it and realize that you might be a cult. Maybe. I guess I would rather be a cult than a cult. Like Colt from 90 Day Fiance, but they're kind of close.
I mean, no, do you not kind of say that? I'm not, for better or for worse, do you not kind of say, like, you need to let me?
I think there's an interpretation of that, and I've heard my followers.
Oh, this is getting too real, dude.
I've heard some people in the group say, one lady, she lost 40 pounds.
Okay.
And people were like, "How are you doing this? This is
getting too real, dude." If your revelation comes in the first 2 minutes of a video, it probably was not like a big revelation. And like, I'm being a little snarky, and criticizing things that don't really need to be criticized. But if you put me in this room IRL, I would have walked out 105 seconds ago.
"This is great." She said, "I turned my brain off."
Oh, no. Are you kidding me?
She said, "I had to turn my brain off and just rely on Trainer Joe's brain." So, okay, yes, we're a cult. Okay, Ian, let's go on to the next.
Wow. I didn't know what I was getting.
Let's go on to the next one. What's our next podcast going to be about?
On my drive over here, I didn't totally know where this was going to go, but this is getting a little spooky.
We're a cult. Send people to our cult. No. What's interesting and why I think some people start feeling that way is because most programs don't have the level of accountability, and they don't have a person leading the groups that's live, that's talking to you, and they don't take it as seriously as we do. A lot of people will get into a group and it's like, "Yeah, do this, do that, try this, try that." And I'm a little more like, "No, this is serious. This is really serious. And if you really want something to happen, you need to take it seriously." And we have grace and we have fun and all that. And people come and go. It's not Hotel California. You can never leave. You can cancel at any time. But we do take it more seriously. I do. And I think because I take it as seriously as I do, it kind of filters down. And suddenly, and I ask people, hey, is it going to be okay if during these 21 days and you ask, hey, can I eat this? Is it okay if I say no? And I say, will you give me permission to tell you no?
Well, right when I got here, you were in the process of texting somebody back that was asking, can I eat this? And you said no because of this.
Right. It was protein bars. Like, does this meet the guidelines? And at first I texted, oh, yeah, this looked good. And then I looked and it had something in there that we don't do during the 21. And I said, oh man,
So you are.
Sometimes I don't care. I just say no.
If you're an adult signing up for 21 days of fitness coaching, lifestyle coaching, dietary coaching, you should be able to take no's. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think anyone cares about that. You're probably wondering why Paul is here, and I am too. If we go over to Trainer Joe's YouTube channel, you'll see things like my 4 favorite Bible verses for weight loss, 12 reasons you're overweight, you don't have enough God in your life, Tammy lost 500 pounds, what's your excuse? There's a lot going. This is with Paul too. That's kind of nuts. Oh, so Paul's here a lot. I'm overweight, but I'm healthy and happy. Well, you can't be overweight and healthy and happy because I don't think you are. Checkmate, liberals. Part of my brain rot is that I say checkmate liberals now, and I don't mean to.
Unusual for somebody just say no. He said no, and I can see if you're in the group and you were getting ready to eat something and your spouse is looking at you and you're like, oh, I can't eat it. And they're like, why? And they're like, well, Trainer Joe said no. I can kind of see.
So you can.
What do you mean? He tells you no? I could never tell you no.
Hey, I signed up for 3 weeks of dietary training. Here's what I can and can't eat. That's one of the things I can't eat. What do you mean? Trainer Joe's telling you no? Trainer Joe's telling my wife, no, you can't eat this chocolate cake. It's not part of your diet. I'll tell you what part of your diet is. Why do you want to diet anyway? You won't leave me? I don't see the problem.
People don't want to ever hear no.
You sympathize. You can see how, especially a spouse that's looking in on their husband or wife that's doing this program.
Right, because their spouse, I haven't had a chance to I haven't had a chance to... Oh, no.
Their spouse is looking...
I haven't had a chance to get to know their spouse yet, so they don't know. They're just...
It's me, right? I'm the problem because I'm not saying that's a fake laugh. I'm saying I can't handle that laugh. If I'm in that room and that's what you're doing, I have to leave. I'm sure that, that laugh is just part of his conversation. Haha, I said something, lean back. Aha! And the whole thing, but I just could not handle it.
Just looking in, they're like, this is crazy.
The spouse is looking in and seeing that.
This is crazy. Diet has to do with fitness? Oh, man. All right, dude. Sorry. I'm just, some of these things I don't need to criticize. I'm just very quickly annoyed by, these types of people. It's not necessarily what they're saying now. It's who I know they are. Is speaking to me this way.
Their loved one.
What did he say? They hear one little thing.
They see their loved one getting denied these things.
Right.
Being told, hey, let me think for you for 3 weeks.
I don't say that, but it can come across. Because how well has your thinking been working for you?
So let me think.
So you've got to adopt some new ideas.
Let me think for you for 3 weeks. Let me lead you to a promised land, to a better place of weight loss.
The promised land of thinness.
It is interesting, though, because it's if I think of anything that's rather extreme in this life, you're probably going to need a community to help you get there.
If Trainer Joe was such a good trainer, why isn't Paul a pro pickleballer yet? Explain yourself.
If I think of anything that's rather extreme in this life, you're probably going to need a community to help you get there. And within that community, there's going to be a set of standards. And to someone outside of that community, it's going to look rather odd.
Yeah. You just think of...
Is that true in general, though? Let's say you want to be one of those people that bikes down the highway every weekend. It's a little annoying. And there's 20 of you wearing the same suits and long helmets, but I'm not that's a cult. I'm that's a hobby to choose. But if you're in a religious compound, all wearing the same exact clothes, all doing the same exact jobs, women are kind of there just to have babies, and the men are we're your leaders. We know what we're doing with your money, but they're just taking your tithes and gambling. Kind of cool. And you can't leave. Kind of cool. I think it comes down to, can you use what you are using to put down people in a way that makes them feel like they're stuck. Can you use restricting somebody's diet, restricting what someone can and cannot do as a way to keep them under your control? Yes. Is that what they're doing? Probably not. But if it seems like a cult, feels like a cult, sounds like a cult, looks like a cult, and it's not Peyton Manning, it might be a cult.
You know, there's some churches, and we've been to a lot of churches, and there's some that are just really friendly, do whatever you want, you can do no wrong, right? You can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Then there are others that have these standards, and if it's not a standard you like, there's a tendency to think, they're too strict. That's a cult, you know, and at some point you put somebody in a...
Some of those can be cultish, though, whether or not you think that, oh, they want me to wear the same thing as everyone else. If there's an issue, no matter how bad, I'm only to report it to their leaders, whether that's murder or anything else. You can't tell the general public about it. I can't leave. They won't let me leave. If any of my children think differently, they're excommunicated and I'm not allowed to talk to them. That, sure, call that a standard. I will call that a cult
position. So you need to define that and get to the place, because it's easy for us to pick. The thing I see is that anybody that is more anything than you is fanatical. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm out driving and I'm like, that person is driving so slow. It's like they're crazy, or they're driving a little faster than me. They're crazy. I'm driving just the right speed. And I'm going to go back to the thing where...
If you put two of them in the same room, if you put any two fundamentalist Christian people, is what I'm learning, in the same room, at some point in the video, one of them will be on their phone. We've yet to be wrong.
Nobody wants to be told no.
Keep going. I'm formulating some thoughts here as you speak.
Yeah. People don't want to be told no. And that's part of their issue. I do ask permission. Can I be your accountant?
He's texting his wife, you better not tell me no. We're not in a cult.
Told no. And that's part of their issue. I do ask permission. Can I be your accountability? Can I tell you no? Mm-hmm. Because you can do whatever you want to do. You can do my plan and do whatever you want to do. Or you can do my plan and do it the way it's intended. And part of the way it's intended is you eat food off of a list. Mm-hmm. And if you want something that's not on the list, you don't eat it. And some people will say, well, what about this? And in their mind, it's something good and healthy and they really like it. It would make the plan easier for them if they could eat this. And when I say, no, it's not on the list, they're like, you son of a... You know, they're like, why can't I eat that? This is good. It would help me. It would make it easier. And to be fair, I do... And this is kind of recent. I said, if you've done 2 or 3 of these 21-day transformations and you want to add something, I do say, you know, go ahead.
I didn't know that. That's
go ahead.
Interesting.
That is kind of a new idea, because it can be difficult to not have things you like that are fine. Well, then you might say, well, why aren't you like that from the beginning? Because I want you to experience a 21-day transformation where you do deny yourself some things that are fine just because I said no.
How many 21-day transformations do you need? Is it like Frieza where you have to transform 4 times before you're perfect? Cell, I guess, also works. I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball.
And that bothers a lot of people, because you are going to have to live with that yourself. You're going to have to come to the place in life to where you say, you know what, I could have this. It's kind of like the Apostle Paul says, all things are permissible, but I'm not going to be a slave to anything. And I'm like, if you can't tell yourself no to something that's even good, even though it's good, you still can't tell you no, because you're not going to get the best thing if you can't deny yourself the good thing. And that's a little bit where we have to disrupt what you've been doing and the way you've been doing it. And part of that is something that is probably a little uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to assume that he doesn't have the same clientele as one of the doctors on My 600-Pound Life. And these aren't people who are on the verge of dying, you know? And so when you have the option to sign up for something like a 21-day transformation, whatever it all totally means, and you're told, hey, you're signing up for this, you're paying for it. I'm 99% sure it's paid for because of how in specific he's being. Here's what you can and can't do. You're signing up for that. You're paying for it. You just kind of stick to it, right? Like, it's hard, sure, but the only person you're going to cheat by not doing that is yourself. Whereas on a show like My 600-Pound Life, when the doctors are like, okay, stop doing this, I need you to try to stand up, stop eating this, you're asking people to create entire lifestyle changes, not really because they want to, because they have to. And that creates an entirely different relationship between you and the things you have to give up. Gabriel Iglesias is a comedian who's always been known for being a bigger person. And it was a lot of his jokes for a long time. And a long time ago, somewhere in like the mid 2000s, maybe early 2010s, he had a bit in his set about how he doesn't want to lose weight because he's afraid of living life without all the things that he has now. And it ends with him going, why would I want to live tomorrow if I can't have a chocolate cake today? And for a long time, that's how he felt. And he ended up changing and he ended up losing weight. And he's a lot more open about how he looks forward to life now for various reasons. I think he said his biggest one was watching his son Frankie grow up. But I think a lot of people have that mindset. And I have it to some degree. It's not with food, but it's with plenty of other things where I would rather not live life without this, whatever it may be. And for people, when it's food, food is such a large part of culture, and it's probably one of the three biggest parts of your life. It's food, it's the people around you, and then it's either work or your biggest hobby, whatever it is you do outside of that. This was an unnecessary rant to say that if you're one of the people signing up for like 21 days of dietary and fitness coaching, then you should try really hard to be one of the people that sticks to it. It's an entirely different thing when it feels like it's taken out of your control. You're gonna die in a week if you don't do this now.
And that's where people are like, I don't want anything to do with that. Yeah. You know, what's going on there?
I'm glad that you just quoted the Apostle Paul and not a notorious cult leader.
The moon, Sun Young Moon. Well, like Sun Young Moon said,
Prophet Huma Huma.
Huma Huma.
Because that would have been a little concerning to me and unsettling.
Huma Huma.
I'm not going to say anything, but if anyone wants to explain that to me, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, because when you go deeper in anything, it's going to be seen as weird. If you're in a group,
right.
I mean, you look at Weight Watchers. There's a little bit of that there. We go to the groups, we get in the car. You've talked to people, I've been Weight Watchers, and we all, the women get, and we go and we weigh ourselves, and we look at it, and how are you doing? You know, there's
I don't want to hear anyone call Trainer Joe's program a cult, and Trainer Joe being the cult leader, and not...
Don't call it an evil cult.
And not call Weight Watchers
a friendly cult. A joyful cult. No. Yeah, so it's seen as weird. Anything that's a little, that brings on a strictness, that tells you no, that has some maybe specific guidelines, and don't go outside of those. It's like, yeah, it gets a little bit scary.
Don't get me started on veganism. That can get a little...
The vegan cult. A lot of you are in the vegan cult.
That can get a little culty if we want to go there.
You want to see cult.
How is it that they're so inspecific in the way that they speak, but every now and then they still say something stupid? Not the vegan thing in general. I agree, right? Like, there are people who take veganism, like religion, way too far. Like anything else, if it's a choice, then congratulations, good for you. Don't put it on anyone else. But like, I don't know, it's been 10 minutes and I don't think I've heard them say anything like too specific or opinionated. They're just kind of just yapping and haven't said too much.
Vegans are pretty intense people.
The vegan cult, they've got me beat. I tell you what,
they stick
the
together.
Vegan cult,
they stick together.
They stick together. They are legit cult. And I love them. I love them. From one cult member to the other. You got to love that vegan cult, don't you? I know. You know who I'm thinking of. You know who I'm thinking of.
I'm not.
Man, this
anybody
cult,
in particular.
she won't eat. If it looked at an animal, you eat that. No, I'm kidding. I love vegan cult members. So anyway, most programs don't have somebody saying, just eat this.
They're self-aware enough to know that, like, the way they spoke about vegans is the way that people tend to speak about them and their religion, right? It goes all the way back to, like, the Church of Latter-day Saints, where if somebody's doing something bad within that community, you have to report it to them instead of reporting it to, like, the outside police. They will protect the worst members of each other before they ever let anyone outside say a single thing about them. And that can also go for a lot of people who, like, call themselves Christian or are in those, like, camps of aggressive, attacking Christianity. Christian fundamentalist YouTubers probably all fall into that, regardless of, like, how much of it is real versus how much of it is for attention. Like if you're like, hey, I'm a Christian fundamentalist YouTuber, I'm not immediately like, oh, are you one of the good ones? I'm just going to assume you're all like Paul and Morgan. I'm going to be so real. I don't even know what one of the good ones would be. Like, because of the ideas you hold, I already don't want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
You know,
They agree.
Being told no, a lot of people struggle with that. And you know what I think of when I think of this? Because I said earlier, I want people to take it seriously. And a lot of times people, I'm just going to go try this thing over here and see how it works for me. And I'm like, you can do that, but once you get here, you're going to find that's not how I'm approaching it. I'm asking you to go all in for 21 days. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll say, hey, we don't throw you out if you mess up, but bring your A game. And I tell them, at least go for 90% of what we're asking you to do. Don't just come in here so casual. And we'll say, how's the casual approach been working for you? And I thought about it. I was talking to my wife about it this morning, and I think about church and how we do church. And there's a verse in Hebrews, 2 verses, Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Okay. Can you guess where I'm going?
Hebrews 10.
24, 25.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell off the top of my head.
That's how you know he's a good Christian. When you bring up Bible verses, he goes, oh, dude, you should have told me before we got on camera. I would have looked it up.
It says, stir each other up. Stir each other up. Don't neglect getting together and stirring each other up. For one thing, to do good works, to do loving things. And I'm not saying that's exactly fitting here, but it's pretty close. It's like if you're struggling with this, if your weight is taking you down and you're unhealthy and you're bigger than you thought you'd ever be, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, how about getting with other people that are going to stir you up, encourage you on in the good works, in the good things that are going to help you break free from this? If you're just on your own, there's a saying in addiction circles.
The thing about that is you need to be surrounded by such a strong support system. Otherwise, you just get shamed, right? Otherwise, you go, I have this problem. And they go, sin. It's a sin. It's a sin. God is ashamed of you. Fix that. That doesn't make you want to fix it. It just makes you feel bad. This is just general advice. And it'll go all the way back to like, if I agree and I say, yeah, you should surround yourself with people who are going to hold you to your own standard and hold you accountable for things you want to be accountable for. If I say, I'm someone who doesn't have these bad ideas, but then I accidentally slip up, one of my friends should be able to say, hey, Max, shut up. That was stupid. Absolutely. But then if I agree to that, if I just go, you're right here, then it goes all the way back to them being like, oh, so your secularist talking points default to being Christian. Wow, it all comes back to God. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Like having good ideas, good morals, good values are not religious by default. So if I say, hey, let's not murder people, you shouldn't turn around and be like, because it says so in the Bible. No, you just shouldn't murder people. Just an idea.
An addict by themselves is not in good company. You know, and you know where it talks about Jesus ate with sinners,
tax collectors and
publicans. And why did he say he did that?
Because the unhealthy or the sick need a doctor.
Yeah. And people say, oh, you're just going everywhere with this. Hey, let's just look at, he was with people that needed to see things differently. You go to a church, you're with some people that maybe you wouldn't want to be friends with. Well, they're different than you. And you need to be with some people that are different than you. In a cult, we all want to be the same in a sense, you know. But no, we all want to win. We all want to be victorious. Same with the church. We all want to walk with God in a way that honors him. We all want to. So we're going to get together where we can encourage each other and stir each other up to go on with this. Why? Because it's challenging. So we're implementing a little bit of that here. It's like, if you're not with people that stir you up and challenge you and encourage you, where you can share what's going on with you, well, that's no-no for a lot of people. I don't want to hear your stuff, and I'm not going to share any of my stuff. Well, we do a little bit of that, and we're asking each other, will you pray for me? I'm going through this right now. And sometimes I'm like, well, this has nothing to do with weight loss or this program. I'm like, oh, well, he's got cancer. You know, it's part of this. So there's this life that we're living, and we want to separate it. I just have this little thing over here. I'm trying to lose weight. No, it's not just a little thing over here. It's your life. Yeah. And too many people see it. I just got this little thing over here. No, it's not a little thing. And if you don't want to invite anybody in and you want to do it on your own, it's way less likely you're going to overcome it.
I'm going to go into a different conversation now, based on what it is that he's saying. A lot of people are going to diminish what it is that they're trying to do for the sake of not feeling bad or ashamed or wanting to be judged. In the same way that he said, oh, it's just this little thing I have over here and trying to lose weight. And he goes, no, it's your life. You should choose what it is that you want to do in your life, whether that's work, hobby, or if you need to lose weight, if you want to get into certain sports, if you want to, whatever it is you want to do. And I'm going to be a little bit of a hypocrite here and say that you should do it loudly. When I started this YouTube channel, I was so afraid that the people I already knew who watched me or watched my videos or knew me IRL, like my friends from the Pokemon space, people that I look up to in content creation, like Mati or Small Ant or even Moxie, people that I have these like personal connections with who I know have seen my content and I've had real life conversations with them. When I said what I've always wanted to do is more commentary style content, I was afraid that the people who have already seen me do anything else would be like, oh, I mean, I don't really like this, whatever. And so I was very quiet about it and I just kind of let it happen gradually. And it's still happening gradually. Like I talk like I'm a lot bigger than I am. I'm not. I don't know how many of you have an idea of how much money I make on here, but it's not a lot. Like Charlie Penguin Zero just did a video where he's like, I spent $200 on dating coaching and I was going to watch it and I was going to watch it with you. And I probably still will sometime this week, because that's a video where like, I can't spend $200 on making a video. I can't. He's going to put 200 into that video and his AdSense is going to cover that in 2 minutes. If I put $200 into that video, my AdSense from that video would probably never cover it. Some things I do have to take a step back to and just kind of react more so than be a part of. For me, my biggest thing right now, I've had a lot of big things happen in my life. I've gone from someone who didn't know where they were going to live when they were 14 to someone who moved halfway across the country while I was still in college and just drove back and forth in order to do a job that I loved, to someone who says, I like yapping on the internet and I hope it goes somewhere. I've done a lot of really cool things and I've done a really bad job of doing them. Not in an annoyingly loudly way, but if you get on my Instagram, like I haven't posted in 4 years. So anything I've done in the last 4 years is just not there. And I've never been someone to celebrate myself or any of my accomplishments. Doing a 10,000 subscriber question and answer video was very nerve-wracking for me, and it was a lot. It was very out of character. But I wanted to force myself to do it in the same way that I forced myself to make these videos in the first place. I've been saying for the better part of 4 years, actually probably the entire last 4 years, that if I wanted to make content that I enjoyed, it would be commentary videos. And it took me to 6 months ago before I was like, you know what? All right, I'm just going to do it. So if what you want to do is lose weight or become an entirely different person, I think you should do it with a community that is going to support you, and you should not be ashamed of wanting to be that person. I think the people that are going to shame you are probably the people that you don't want around anyway. You want to have a couple of friends who are going to honestly criticize you when you ask them to. Like, it shouldn't just be natural to them. But you don't want to have people that put you down just for the sake of wanting to put you down. Whether it's because they're not someone who could do this, whether it's because they're jealous of you or just like going out and becoming, for whatever reason, you should try so hard to support yourself with people who you would also support. And make sure, God, this is such a hard thing and I am still struggling with it. You don't have to stay friends with people just because they've been your friends through other times. You can outgrow each other and it can go both ways. If you want to do something and someone you've been friends with for so long doesn't want to support you through it, and it's something that's like beneficial, right? Like you're not going out kidnapping children. Maybe you don't have to be friends with that person. And that's okay. I don't think this rant was at all related to them. I think I just yap. So sorry. But also, this is my video. All right, I got to yap.
Yeah, it's good. That's good stuff. Let me ask you this. The nature of YouTube has this way as a channel grows, and you've passed 10,000 subscribers. Congratulations. Big congrats.
I'm going gonna pretend he's saying that to me. You know what, Paul? I don't need your congratulations, dude. Somebody said that his wife, something about poop, and I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I kind of want to know. Someone said something about Morgan and poop on the Reddit that I scrolled past, and I was like, not going back.
Blessing.
Thank you all.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you all.
Thank you for watching our videos, helping them get traction, subscribing. Make sure you haven't, or if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Really supports us, helps us. It's a blessing to us. You get all the videos pop up for you. But the way that YouTube is, as you grow, other channels will sometimes see you and then not super fondly react to you. Would it bother you if someone, say with a bigger channel, 100,000 subscribers or more, found you, did kind of that deep dive, and came to the conclusion and then posted a video out to all their audience, Trainer Joe is absolutely leading a cult, a health weight loss cult.
With lots of terrible information.
I think you just did Trainer Joe such a large disservice, because Paul is someone who has had so many videos made on him and his wife. And he could have been so raw, like he keeps saying he is, and honest with Trainer Joe and gone, as you get bigger, people will make videos about you. People will make posts about you. I've had multiple posts about me on Reddit, and only one of them was nice. It was on Fundie Snark Uncensored. So shout out you guys. He had such like a real moment to be like, someone is going to make a video about you and it's not going to be nice. And here's what it could be. But in like talking about them being like a cult and them joking around about it, like that just took it away. You could have been like, someone is going to look at you being a fundamentalist Christian, look at you having these ideas, look at you going through God, look at you, all of these things that he has some sort of like idea about. How will you handle that? Here's something that's been said to me that I think could apply to you. How are you going to take it? And he just stripped that away from him. And he said, oh, you're a cult leader. It's like, yeah, whatever. Call me a cult leader. I also wouldn't care about that.
Information.
Absolutely leading a cult, a health weight loss cult.
With lots of terrible information, right? Terrible advice. I'm sure they
Well,
get that.
so they made that video. It got traction. Would that bother you?
You know, I think for most people, it's always a little challenging if you're being picked on in a sense and exposed. If it's like they're trying to expose something, then it probably would have a little bit of that effect. But I think mostly it's kind of like when Trader Joe's sent me 2 cease and desist letters because my old logo, I'm sure it's here somewhere, looked like the Trader Joe's logo.
Don't show it. Don't show it.
And I don't look at it. And I got 2 or 3 letters from Trader Joe's attorney saying, if you keep using this, we're coming after you. And then they saw me with another shirt on. They said, if you're selling these, blah, blah. So it's like,
I think the real issue is it's hard to deal with things that are not at all in your control. And if a video of mine gets posted on Reddit, I have no control over how people view me. And the thing is, people tend to agree with each other. And I'm not saying this in a positive or negative way, right? Because when my Jake Doolittle video got posted on Reddit, you had 2 sets of people. You had people who talked about the content, and there was not a single negative thing said about it, which I thought was very surprising, because I can go back to myself and be like, I could have said this, I should have said this, I should not have said this in every video I do. And then there was a group of people that were like, oh, I can't watch him because of the way he looks. I can't watch him because of his facial hair, whatever. And that is like, that's stupid, because when I get those comments on my videos, I can ignore them. They don't get a lot of traction. But when that's half of a comment section on a Reddit post, on a very large subreddit, I don't have control over people explaining things for me. So when people are like, oh, it's some sort of political statement, I'm not there to be like, what? Or when people are like, oh, it's engagement bait, I'm like, I literally never crossed my mind. Oh, he does that to be unique. I'm like, also no, like, I don't know what to tell you. Whereas like, if it really became a big thing in my comment section alone, I probably could have addressed it. And the reason why I don't address these comments in my comment section is because I had to make an entire video about it because of a Reddit thread. That video, last time I checked, had like 10,000 views, probably has a little bit more now. And in every video I've done since then, I've gotten the same exact question. There are only so many times I want to answer the same question, especially about my own appearance. I don't really want to. And here's the thing that I think people don't realize. If I shaved, I would get just as many, if not more, comments about the scars because they'd be a lot more visible. And it's not like I'm hiding them. If you zoom in well enough, you'll see them. But it doesn't change anything. And so the part that's a little anxiety inducing about having people make content about you is that you don't get to have a say in the narrative. People get to tell other people what you're thinking. And it's easier to do when we're criticizing people with bad ideas. But in my situation, it had nothing to do with what I had to say. It was just about my appearance. And then the next step was, why does he look like that? And every single response to that was wrong. It took so long for one person to be like, I think he just has a cleft palate. And a few people have said cleft lip. They're a little different, but like, I'm going to waste my own time describing that. And you'll get a much faster answer Googling it if you want that. These people have the advantage of like, if they get made fun of because of the way they look, it's going to be like generic white guy. That's it. And that's not really like a big deal. And then when your ideas get attacked, if you're settled into who you are and your life outside of the content that you create, it doesn't matter. Because if you're so convinced that all of your ideas are backed by God, people criticizing them aren't criticizing you, they're criticizing God. And that's someone that you already don't agree with, so you don't care about what it is that they have to say, which is like their whole stance, right? Like, oh, it doesn't really matter what you have to say about me or my husband, we're godly people. You're obviously not because you criticize us. And if you were a Christian, a really, really devout Christian, and criticize them, they would probably just say to you, you're not really a Christian then, and move on.
It scared me a little, but more I was just thrilled that I was recognized, that people saw it, and it would be the same way. I would be happy about it.
You'd be happy.
I'd be more happy about it than I would upset about it.
That is wild. I am not happy about the negative attention. It freaks me out. And again, it has nothing to do with my ideas most of the time. It is usually just like, why does he look like that? Which is pretty much out of my control. And I promise you, if the people are like, just shave, I would get just as many, if not more, comments about the scars and about the nose. It doesn't help. It just changes it to something different. Like, I promise you. It's easier to ignore it because I don't actually care. Like, again, I care about the way I think I look. I care about the way my girlfriend thinks I look, and that's really it. Outside of that, you could not pay me to care about the opinion of usually other men. A couple of times it's not, and I'm like, weird of you, but sure. But it's usually just other men, and I get like, really, dude, I cannot imagine caring.
I thought that was going to be your answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember I was working with a pastor. He had heard about me, and he called me and said, can you help me lose some weight? We worked together. He did great. He had me come to his church several times and do several sessions there. And at one point, he said, Joe, we want to make what you do a part of our discipleship culture at our church. And see, there's a word in there that's uneasy for people. Disciple. You want to disciple? And so we start thinking again, you want people to follow you? And the Apostle Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. If you have somebody doing something in a good way, don't you want to be coached and encouraged and helped by them? Mm-hmm. Whether it's your pastor, your coach, or whatever. You talked about wanting to get coached to become better at what you're doing. So I am a little bit of a coach like that. And I can see where somebody might be a little uncomfortable with it. But this pastor did, we need to be taught. We need to be trained. We need to be coached. We need a consistency in this because you do it for a little while and it's like, that wasn't enough. No, you need to be a student. It's like you can be good at a lot of things and people don't see being good at weight loss as a thing. It's like, no, you need to become good at that. Yeah. Because if you're not good at it, you're going to get sucked back into the old ways you were doing it. And this is that hard to where if nobody's accusing you of being a little bit fanatical, you're probably not in it enough.
Oh, say that last part again. Say that last part again.
If nobody is accusing you of being a little bit fanatical in your weight loss journey, I would say there's a good chance that you're not as committed as you're going to need to be successful. You tell me.
I'd agree with that.
Wouldn't you? Yeah, and people reject that. I don't want to be a fanatic. I don't want to weigh myself. I don't want to buy. But I don't mind being 50 pounds overweight.
I want to really focus on the balance. But your balance is 70 pounds overweight. That's not balanced.
Right.
So you might need to get a little,
balance.
Might need to get a little radical.
50 pounds overweight.
You might need to get a little radical
And I had a lady say that in one of my groups. She said, Joe, I just keep seeking balance in my life, and every time I think I found it, I'm still 50 pounds overweight. Is that the...
In the same way that like, oh, I don't want to be fanatical. I don't want to like have to weigh myself. It's very freeing for, and I'll even say people like me, I to not have to weigh myself. I don't think about it ever. I know my sitting weight is around 130. I'm 5'8" and very small. I got up to 155 when I was still wrestling and working out a lot, but just completely dropped it after I stopped. So I know my sitting weight is pretty like tiny. My camera died and I kind of forgot what I was saying. If you are willing to sign up for a 21-day program, it already kind of sounds like you're a little serious about it. And there are going to be people like in anything else where they don't take it seriously, but I don't understand why you wouldn't. It's like college, right? When people are like, you're paying for this, why wouldn't you do the work? And it's probably really anxiety inducing to get on a scale and just like pray that you lost some weight. But it's like anything else. It's just part of the journey.
The balance that you want.
Yeah. Well, let me hear you say it from your mouth. Trainer Joe, are you leading a weight loss cult? I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. From the prophet. I want to hear it from the prophet's mouth.
It's not a cult, but it is a community. We have a community, and we love people to be a part of it, and I love when people stay. You know, it's funny because some people will be doing my 21-day transformation, and then we have a phase 2 where it's a little bit more free, a little bit more loose. You have more foods you get to eat and that sort of thing. And they're like, I don't think I want to leave the 21-day because they like the strictness of it.
Sure,
and
the
some people are like, I
community.
thrive with these boundaries and these
Supportive,
borders.
strict, boundaries community.
Yeah. But you can leave. We don't require you to stay.
Guys, if you want to join Trainer Joe's cult, program, community, it's not a cult.
I don't have an issue with the words that he's saying right now. I have an issue with knowing that Paul thinks he's funny. Give him a mic. Give him a mic, put him in front of like a real stand-up audience and just like let him destroy his own ego. It wouldn't, because he would go, they just didn't get it. They just don't like get me. They don't, it doesn't matter. I'm about to go pro pickleball anyway.
Cult.
Not a cult.
It's not a cult. It's not. You want to join the community.
Not yet.
Join a 21-day transformation. The next one coming up will be starting soon.
Yeah, it's always starting soon.
Jump
'cause there's
in.
one every month.
Jump in. The link will be in the description. We would love to have you and experience it from yourself. And then if you whatever you decide, you can go make videos about it. But we think you're going to really like
And
it.
then in the comments, have you ever looked?
Do I try a 21-day transformation just so I can make a video about it? I joined a fundamentalist Christian cult for 21 days. Oh, I might. Yeah, honestly, why not?
At what we do and think that's kind of like a cult. I'm curious.
Let us know
Anybody
in the
thought
comments.
that?
Let us know that in the comments, and also
Yeah.
if perhaps someone's like, I think I should probably go through a 21-day transformation. I'm not totally sure. If you've gone through one, that maybe you found Trainer Joe here on YouTube, you like the content, you went through a program. What were your honest thoughts about it?
Yeah.
Just share your honest thoughts. That way, someone that's curious can read the comments and see how you guys are feeling.
All right, let's go through the comments. Great job, funny. Okay, don't encourage them. I'm drinking the sugar-free Kool-Aid. Did I not laugh? I haven't done your programming, but if you don't have any false teaching about God, you should be okay. Like some cults teach against the Trinity, yet the Trinity is doctrinally and biblically correct. Or another thing cults teach is that you earn salvation by works, but salvation is by grace through faith in Jesus. See Ephesians 2:8-9. Thanks for watching and commenting. So, the video itself was pretty not for me. And this channel is not large enough to where people are going to like go out of their way to find Paul. I think after one of these videos, I may be wrong. Here's my final take on it, I guess. If this guy's a trainer, you're allowed to be a trainer and also a Christian. You're allowed to be a trainer and also whatever you are in your personal life. I think as long as it's not hurting other people, you're allowed to say, this is a training regimen, come sign up for it. You're not putting it on anyone, I think, without their permission. Whether or not that's done with the idea of God in it, again, you're not doing it without anyone's permission. People come and sign up for it. So I think that's fine. I think where there may be a problem is if people are watching these videos and going, oh, Paul seems kind of cool. Why didn't I click on Paul? And then it turns out Paul's not cool because Paul's a weirdo. And something that one of the comments in the subreddit brought up was whether or not the way they make you eat could be good for you. And I just don't think we're going to know. They were so inspecific in what that diet looks like. If you're going, don't eat, yeah, that's a problem. Or if you're only giving people a few hundred calories a day, also a problem. But I don't think we're going to know. But here's something that was posted on the subreddit that people are just not going to see from that side of the internet. Isn't this a funny woman that has a toxic AF husband? Nope, you must be thinking of someone else. Haha, OMD, you totally are. Paul is your husband, right? Y'all really are comfortable airing your messy marriage online for the world to see. Oof. I know I recognized you. You and your husband are all over Reddit. The receipts of toxicity are pretty damning. Wow, because trusting Reddit as a reliable source of information about people isn't damning at all, but it's just like screenshots of things that they say. The source is your social media platforms and straight from you and your husband's mouth, but okay. So there's that concern that people who do sign up for this program are kind of giving their money to Paul, who then is using it to be a weirdo online. But I'm going to call it there. I'm going to go live a little bit of life before I'm baking a cake on stream with Lee later. Again, if you guys would like to see that, twitch.tv/a20something loser. We'll be live at 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. PST. Thank you guys for spending time with me. I hope this was as fun for you as it is for me. I like to sit here and yap. And then I get into bed and I read all of your comments. And I think about all the terrible things I've done and I go, oh, probably should not do that again. But then I think about the fundamentalist Christian people and I go, all right, listen, I could have been worse. Okay, bye. You don't have to say goodbye to me, but you have to say goodbye to my son. Hamilton?